Welcome to the UX Design Show. Today I want to talk about UX versus recruiters. This is a series where I'm going to talk about some of the good and the bad of recruiting and how we need recruiting to be a better bridge for us to get the positions that we want. And what do I mean by bridge? A lot of times, if you're not able to talk directly to the manager itself, or if you don't have a friend who can kind of speak kindly about you to get a particular position, you need recruiters to be your ally. You need recruiters to be the one who sells you to that manager and to that HR department so that you can make it to the next step of the process. So we need, in general, a better relationship with our recruiters, and our recruiters need a better relationship with the management of the people that they're speaking to. And that should lead to building a solid networking group. It should also build a good working relationship between the four of them. And I say four because you can't leave out HR. So today I want to just deal with how we can start, how we can make the introduction better, right? How can we make the introduction better between recruiters, designers, developers, and everyone who's a UX professional? So let's start with this scenario. Number one, there's a manager who has a position to fill. It doesn't necessarily matter what the position is. What does matter, in my opinion, are the details that are then fed to the HR person or directly to the recruiter. And I believe some of these mistakes that are made in passing that information along is what leads to me saying, no, I'm not interested, no, I'm not available. And we don't want that to always be the case unless you have something great already. But we want to have building relationships with these people. But they got to come correct. Let's be real. They got to come correct. And what do I mean by that? Let's get into it. So the scenario goes is this. The manager, the person who you absolutely need to talk to, who you need this bridge to speak to, has a set of requirements that they need for the next person coming in. Let's go with designer because that's who I am. You need someone who can design. Most places have one single program that they use as a focus. So it can be Extra, InDesign, or Adobe XD. It can be Sketch, it can be Marvel, it can be Figma, whatever the case may be. They have their application that they like to use. Plus, of course, they're always going to want someone who knows how to use Photoshop and Illustrator. That's always going to be the three main applications. And then a lot of times they will want someone who can also code, right? Someone can do HTML, CSS, JavaScript. Even if you can't code them, you understand them because they don't want to bring in a designer who's designing things and don't understand that that also needs to be translated in a way that developers can understand it. All right? So that's good. But here's where the misinformation can come in. Depending on the type of project, they may be working with APIs for certain things. They may be working with Perl or something like that. This is where you start to muddy the waters. I believe coding languages start to muddy the waters, but this is how you muddy them even further. When you start to ask for Perl, when you start to ask for things that are very, very specific, and I think they do that in an attempt to narrow the pool of people that you can choose from. At the same time, I think there has to be a level of consideration when it comes to certain these things and how the next person is going to interpret it. So let's go with Perl, right? So now HR has talked to the manager and they've gotten this information. They said, okay, so which one of the things you really want us to focus on when making this search? They say, you know what? We know they're going to have these design things. Let's make sure that they have an understanding of the code, and let's make sure they have those items, right? I got to make sure I have the next person come in really understand HTML, CSS, JavaScript, Perl. They didn't tell that to the recruiter. The HR person tells that to the recruiter. The recruiter now goes, okay, great. I'm gonna find you a UX designer / developer because you're asking for HTML, CSS, JavaScript, and Perl. We need to know. We need to know why Perl knowledge is needed. I'm a UX designer, yes. I'm not a developer, no. Right? I'm not a developer. So why in the world would you need to put Perl as a part of the requirements of someone for a UX design position. Because now that that information has been passed along, the recruiter now says Perl, HTML, CSS, JavaScript, UX developer. They start looking around LinkedIn. They start talking to people in their network inside their building because they are a third party. They don't work for the company. Although some recruiters, some companies do have recruitment agencies in their company, but they start to call around their network and they're looking for people who can do Perl, HTML, CSS, and JavaScript. Because every UX designer has all the other things on their resume when it comes to the design programs. So those things are covered. These are the things we're looking for feverishly. And I've seen companies never find anyone because they're focused on the wrong things. Let's be clear about something. When that recruiter calls you as a UX designer, they're going to ask for, hey, this is a UX designer developer position. My immediate thought is no. Because as a UX designer, there is so much for me to focus on as a lead designer. From API stacks to colors, what am I going to build a style guide in? Can I use, Zeplin, things of that nature? I have too many design tasks as it is when I take on a project, especially research, having to sit down and test things, A/B testing, talking to users, and now you're going to also want me to possibly code? That's what I hear when I hear UX designer, UX developer. No, you count me out. I don't want to hear about it. That's a problem. But what I've learned from looking at these positions and looking at how these recruiters approach us for positions is that you have to be patient. And a lot of times you don't have the patience because you're working. Most likely you're already working and you're busy. Now, if you're out of work, of course, you can take the time to do what I'm going to say next, which is really lean on that description. Say, you know what? I don't know if you're necessarily looking for a UX developer, or better, leave that out. Just say, let me hear more about the position. Let me hear more about what it is they want me to do day to day. Give me that. Before you start getting into titles and what you think the title is, give me that. And when you hear that description, you can then decide for yourself, okay, I now have a better sense of what you're looking for. I now understand why you contact me because I had Perl in my coding language on my resume. So you contact me because you want someone who's familiar with Perl. So if I design something, I understand how Perl works. Therefore, my design will make sense. Got it. That is a huge misunderstanding, and it happens a lot. And it happens with something. It happens with the language that is passed along, and the priorities of the recruiter not being in the proper place, and it's none of their fault because they're being passed information through multiple people or sometimes a very unreliable source who doesn't quite understand what that manager needed. And you get these super long requirement lists of what the person needs to have to take that position. And when it comes down to it, the description is all you really needed. But what even jumbles that process is when the description is something so generic that it doesn't even speak to the heart of the project itself. That itself is damning. Basically, recruiters need focused information from the managers and from the HR people who are feeding them, who want to bring in great talent. They have to have very, very focused information. They have to have a great description that really describes the heart of the project. They need to have the actual skills you want the UX designer to have. Perl, JavaScript, CSS, HTML, these things are nice to have if someone has previous knowledge of it. But if you have a development team, they will school them on what they need to know and how they need the design to be. And that's something they can get through collaboration. These are things that are not needed to perform well at your job as a UX designer. So as long as that information is focused and it speaks to the heart of the project, it will then in turn allow us to make better decisions as to whether or not we want to work for a particular company or not. So this is the first part of this series as far as UX versus recruiters. This is one scenario. Next video, I'm going to talk about how we as designers can be more clear in our portfolios and in our resumes to convey the positions that we want, so that we're also helping recruiters do their job their best. They are middlemen and middlewomen, and we need to help them be at their best so that they help us get the absolute best. Thank you so much. Like this video and subscribe for more information like this. Let me know what you feel about the scenario, what you think of it, in the comments below. Hit me up on Facebook and Twitter, and I shall catch y'all next time. Peace.